Hi, it's Jeff Kraft or Kalidas again, and I wanted to make a quick video for you. I just made a video recently for you that talked about the importance of a very simple concept in understanding yoga, and that is that all of the suffering that we have in some way can be broken down into a very simple idea that there's some form of conflict. There's sort of two opposing things that are kind of fighting for attention within our body or our psyche or that kind of thing. So if you have a moment, if you haven't already seen it, go ahead and watch that other video as well. But what I want to do in this video is give you a practical single technique that really addresses that at a very deep level. It's referred to in the yoga traditions as Nadi Shodhana. Sometimes in English it's called the alternate nostril breath. And it has a really profound effect. I'll describe, of course, and show you how to do the technique in a moment, but I want to talk a little bit about just the technique itself and the idea of how it's used to help create that balance and that harmony within your body and within your nervous system. So the idea, of course, is that we have this body, and within the body, within the nervous system, there's a reflection of that duality that I spoke about in the first video. The opposites of masculine and feminine and good and evil and all that is kind of reflected in the fact that we have two sides to the body. You know, there's sort of mirrored sides, and there's an understanding in various different traditions that one side of the body is sort of more of the masculine energy and one side is more of the feminine energy. So the left side is traditionally thought of as the feminine, the right side is traditionally thought of as the masculine. And this is also reflected, of course, like in the brain, where there's two sides of the brain. And we talk about the brain function as being, you know, one side being more analytical, the other side being more sort of creative. And that's also a reflection of that masculine and feminine idea. The analytical being a more masculine kind of quality, and the more creative and intuitive side being a more feminine quality. And so, as a reflection within our nervous system and brain function, we can do a technique that helps to harmonize the energies and the flow and the level of the nervous system. So it's understood in the yogic traditions that there is a natural movement between the sides of the nostrils. And one side is more about the heating, sort of masculine kind of energy. The other side is more about the feminine, cooling kind of energy. And as part of the regulation of the nervous system, this cycle sort of goes back and forth. It's sort of generally about 90 minutes per side. It kind of transitions. And if you stop and pay attention during the day, you'll actually notice that one nostril tends to be a little more dominant. Like if you exhale, you can feel one side is stronger. And sometimes what can happen if we're under a lot of stress is that that one side will get a little more aggressive. It'll sort of stay on more often. And that can create either too much heating or too much cooling in the nervous system, those types of things. So there's lots of different activities that are regulated in the nervous system based upon this. And one of the techniques that yoga gives us is a technique to literally start to balance the two sides of this opposing force or this energy that's moving in the nervous system. It's a very simple practice, but it can be really profound. You can start with it, you know, even just 5 minutes a day or you know, 5 minutes several times a day as you just sort of need to calm. So I'm going to talk about the actual technique now. So a couple of things that you want to be mindful of when you do this is that there is still going to be what is traditionally known in the yogic techniques as sort of this full kind of slow deep breath. So we are wanting to kind of calm the nervous system down, sort of reduce stress and use the breath in a way that's going to be effective for us. So a traditional yogic breath is to breathe in through the nose in a very relaxed way, kind of expand and open down into the belly, let that expand up into the chest, and then there's a reversing of that. So we're wanting to use the breath itself to begin to slow down. So I'll show you the yogic breath first. So you want to just be relaxed in your preferably seated position. And you're going to close your eyes and let the breath fall out And then when it's time, with mouth closed, begin to inhale. So once you're full, you'll exhale. And so how this differs from, of course, the normal breath that we do is most of us don't pay attention to the breath. We're not aware that it's actually happening. I mean, you know, we're focused on other things, and so we're not really paying attention to the breath. So part of what we're doing here is we're wanting to consciously tune in to the breathing process, the present moment of what's happening in the breath, and use a nice, full, slow, deep breath. So we're consciously slowing it down after we get sort of the mechanics of the expansion process and the exhalation releasing process. But we're wanting to consciously begin to slow down and kind of tune into the present moment in the body. So this is the first part of what you're going to want to do with your Nadi Shodhana or your alternate nostril breath, is just take at least 30 seconds to kind of tune in, let the breath begin to flow nice and slow so that you're calming down, you're centering, you're focusing into the experience of the body and the breath. And then you're going to begin to transition into the actual Nadi Shodhana practice. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. There are two traditional ways for sort of holding the hand. You're going to take your dominant hand. In my case, I'm right-handed. So we're going to take your dominant hand. And this is actually the practice that I like the best, is to take the index finger of the dominant hand and touch to the third eye point. Move my hand so you can see my mouth. Touch to the third eye point. And then you're going to be using the thumb and your middle finger to gently close off the nostril. So you want to come to the side of the nostril, just a little bit up, sort of near the bony part. So not at the opening, but on the side of the nostril, just below the bony part, or the hard part. And you're going to be gently pressing in. And this is going to be activating or opening just the opposite nostril. In this case, it's the left. We traditionally start with the left for the first inhalation. And so I'm actually going to be doing it with the thumb on this side and the middle finger on this side. And this is going to be kind of an anchor point. So just gently pressing. And the first inhalation, I'm going to close with the thumb. Inhale through here. Once it's full, I'll swap sides. Exhale this side. Once I'm empty, inhale. And then exhale, swap. And continuing with this process. So each time, once you get started, you're going to exhale and then inhale. And then swap sides, exhale, then inhale. And you'll want to finish on the left side. So the first inhalation will be on the left, and then you'll go exhale, inhale, obviously slower than that. And then when you finally come to a conclusion, when you're ready to finish your practice, your final exhalation will be on the left. And this creates a balance so that we will have inhaled and exhaled equally on both sides. We also traditionally start on the left side. It's associated with the more feminine energy, and most of us are pretty active. So the feminine energy has a more cooling effect, and so we want to start with the dominance of the cooling. But then over the course of the practice, we're trying to invite that balance between the two sides. And so what it will create as an effect is it will balance the mind, it'll create more focus, it'll calm the emotions, and it begins to regulate some different things in the nervous system. So there's going to be some more subtle kinds of things that are being balanced within the nervous system itself that are helping to release some tensions and stress and some conflict within the nervous system, within the mind. And it has an effect at the levels of the body and also sort of the mind and emotional state. So it's affecting all across the nervous system spectrum and all across the different levels of your experience. Now, there are some more advanced teachings on kind of how the energy system, sort of the biology or the anatomy of our energy system and how it moves. And also, of course, some more advanced teachings even beyond that start to talk about how this balancing process goes even beyond the body and the mind and into sort of the deeper realms of spirit and consciousness and those types of things. Obviously, we don't have time to go into that right now. But I do encourage you to, now that you understand how to do it, to really sort of commit to yourself to give this a try. Give it at least a couple of weeks. You should be able to notice something kind of right away if you're doing it properly. Now remember, the keys here are that you need to be in kind of a quiet place where you can sit and relax. You want to let the breath be nice, slow, full, and deep. It doesn't have to be aggressive. There's not a lot of effort to the breath. But you want it to be slow, full, and deep. And you're just going to, as I said, start inhale with the left, exhale through the right, and then continue. I showed you the one way of doing the anchor finger. Another way is to tuck the ring finger and the middle finger and kind of get that out of the way so that you're going back and forth between the pinky and the index finger. So that's another way to do it. So you can choose which method feels comfortable. For most people, I find that the focus at the third eye becomes really beneficial. But I'm going to leave you there. Give yourself 30 seconds to a minute just to kind of get centered in the breath, and then an additional 4 or 5 minutes of doing the actual practice. Most of us have some sort of timer that we can put on our phone or something. So set your timer for 5 minutes or 6 minutes and give yourself the opportunity to do it. Try it at least once a day, maybe more than once a day if you have time. Anytime you're feeling kind of stressed, you can kind of sit down and do it. But start with the at least once a day. Find once a day to do that 5 or 6 minute practice. And try it for a week or two. And when you have played with it for a little while, come back and give me some comments below. And even if you have some sort of question now, or if you just want to offer me feedback on the video in general, you can leave comments below for that as well. But do try it, come back and let me know how it goes, and I look forward to having you see other videos of mine. And take care, have a great day. Thanks.